Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. But whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe. Really do appreciate all of the support that we receive. If you're following me on Facebook or on Twitter, always appreciate you following me on Facebook, Twitter, but make sure you go out and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's how you can support, or one of the ways that you can support what I do here. Anybody ever wonder why we're not further along in the energy world? Like, I mean, we have these cell phones that are so ridiculously powerful. They're like a computer in our hands. And yet we seem to still be in the Stone Ages. I won't say that. That's probably a little bit hyperbolic, but we don't seem to be as far along when it comes to the ability to create alternative energy. At least that's the way it would seem, right? But the truth is that we are like light years ahead when it comes to energy. We are light years ahead when it comes to alternative power. But why don't we use those other entities? Why don't we see more solar powered this or alternative energy source that? Well, it's simple, because the people who have all the money, they're invested in the things that are already established. So, like, for instance, if I had a really successful lemonade stand, but lemons were really expensive. So I cornered the market on the lemons so that my lemonade stand would thrive. It would only make sense that if somebody else came along with a lime stand, or that wanted to come and start a lime stand, the first thing I would do is try to buy out their lime stand. Since I'm making all the money, right? I can afford to buy their lime stand, not because I think it's a great idea to make lime juice or to make limeade as an alternative to lemonade, but really more because I want to make sure that they don't steal my lemonade business. See, limes are way cheaper than lemons. And so because the limes are way cheaper than lemons and there's more abundance of limes, they're not a resource that I'm going to have to worry about running out, or I have to worry about how much I have of it. I can produce as much limeade as possible, but I'm going to produce it cheaper, which means it's going to be sold cheaper, which means I'm not going to make as much money. I like making the tons of money that I make off these lemons because there's no competition. Because I hold all the lemons. And because nobody else has lemons, I can make these lemons as expensive as I want to. So you might be where you might be paying only $1 for some limeade, you're paying $5 and $6 and $7 for lemonade. Why would I ever let that limeade get traction? Why would I ever let people fall in love with that limeade? That would be death to me. See, the problem with what we do in innovation and when we try to extend an idea is that that idea is inherently threatening somebody else's business. And if you threaten somebody else's business enough, they'll just come and go, it's cheaper to buy this person's business than to let them exist. Because once you come up with an idea that's good, other people are going to come. They're going to steal your idea, or they're going to borrow your idea, and they're going to try to improve on the design so that they can make money as well. So the people who have all the money, the people who have the ultimate amount of money, their number one job is to make sure they don't give you that money. This seems to be a really easy concept to understand, right? If I have the money and I want to make sure that I'm the only one getting this money, then I need to make sure you don't get this money. Right? So here's where we stand with innovation. Every time somebody comes along and creates something, you have other people who come along and try to create the same thing. But then they try to put their own little twist on it and then claim it as their own. Right? Because in the sports world, you can't just hide buy up all of the stuff and then hide it away, or can you? Right? Or can you? See, the quarterback in football used to be the stationary target that sat in the back behind the offensive line and essentially distributed the ball. The quarterback was the person that, the quarterback was the trigger man. The quarterback was the person that kept everything aligned, that kept everything, set. And as innovation has come along, and what started at the youth league, which was, hey, we don't have a really good offensive line because these kids are still learning how to play football, let alone knowing how to block. How do we get our best athlete? How do we get our best player the ball every single play? And so the quarterback was the person that, got the ball. And then, the forward pass came along. And as the forward pass came along, they said, oh, well, we need our best athlete to be able to receive this ball down the field. Because now we just throw the ball ahead. We don't just run it every time. This was as the transition from, option football of the early years to more of the pro game that we see now. And then things started to swing back. Someone said, wait a minute. If this really athletic person, who's probably our best athlete, can also throw the ball as well, why are we putting this guy out here on the side where we can only get him the ball every once in a while, and where teams can game plan to take him out the game? Why don't we put him under center or behind the center and allow him to operate every single play? Well, that's where we are. And over the years, we've seen the innovation, and we've seen people try to put their own spin on the innovation. So then why are we still at a point where a guy like Malik Willis, who embodies everything that you would talk about within that innovation, isn't hands down the number one guy to come off the board? If we're saying that quarterback is the most important position in football, and we're saying that the innovation of football says You not only need a guy who can throw the ball, who can make all the throws with a big arm, but you need a guy that can be able to navigate the pocket and escape. And when he escapes, he's also a weapon, because that's how the game is gone. Look at the quarterbacks who are representing outside of Tom Brady. Everybody else that is a good quarterback in the NFL has an ability to hurt you with their legs. Every single one, sans Tom Brady, can hurt you with their legs. Old man, cringy Aaron Rodgers can beat you with his legs. Patrick Mahomes can beat you with his legs. Joe Burrow can beat you with his legs. Josh Allen can beat you with his legs. Right? Matthew Stafford, quiet as it's kept, can beat you with his legs. And so on and so on and so on. Deshaun Watson. And so on and so on. Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, right? All of these quarterbacks have an ability to beat you with their legs. So if we see where the innovation has taken us, then why is it that a guy like Malik Willis gets so disrespected in this draft? Or at least seems to not get as much publicity as some of the other quarterbacks who have come out as recent as last year. Why? Well, that's where the lemonade stand analogy comes back in. That's where the energy stories come back in. See, the more we let in, the more we allow people to see this other thing that works. That means that they are more susceptible to want that other thing. So now what do you do with all of the Tom Brady-esque quarterbacks? What do you do with all the guys who are pocket guys and only pocket guys? Because all of the guys that I named, they operate in the pocket. But they don't only operate in the pocket. Lamar Jackson gets disrespected on a regular basis as a running quarterback. But most of his damage comes when he's in the pocket and he is scanning the field and he's dropping dimes to receivers and tight ends. It's just that he brings the dynamic of, when I get out of this pocket, either via a quarterback run or via scrambling, you are dead. So if that's the guy that's taking over the league now, that means that people who just sit in the pocket, people who don't leave the pocket, that means that they're an endangered species, right? Well, if you don't want your species to be endangered, then you have to do something. You got to discredit. You got to find ways to lower their value, to lower their worth. You have to find ways to make people believe this is not the way, to put them in bad situations, to give them bad cards to be dealt, so that you can continue to make all the money off your lemonade stand. You want to know how many energy products or alternative energy sources have been bought by oil companies? How many of these alternative energy companies and alternative energy sources have been bought by the very entity that would be hurt if these alternative energy sources ever hit the market. That's why we don't see it. That's why we're still relying upon oil. It's not that we don't have the ability to just change these cars that ran off of gas into cars that run off ethanol. But the same company that owns the gas owns the ethanol. So if that's the case, why would they ever kill gas to promote ethanol? No, instead, we'll just slide a little of the ethanol into the gas. But we'll still charge you like that money, that max money. It's all a hustle. If you build it, they will steal it. If you build it, they'll come for you. And they'll get you out of there. Unless you're able to hold steadfast. Unless you're able to not fall into the trap of I'll take the money on the short end. And by the way, I don't blame anybody because that short end money could be generational wealth. I'm not blaming people. But that's what a lot of quarterbacks that look and play like Malik Willis have to deal with. Do I take the short money and become a wide receiver or defensive back or a tight end or a D end or outside linebacker because I don't want to fight the fight? Or do I hold off and I play the game the long way, knowing that there's a chance that I may not get there? But if I get there, I can get Deshaun Watson money. I can get whatever Lamar Jackson's going to get when the Ravens back the Brinks truck up for him money. I can get Patrick Mahomes money. I can get Dak Prescott money. See, that's the key. Playing the long game is not the easy way to go because if you build it, they will steal it. But if you're able to hold on to it, the possibilities are endless. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. To do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. But whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. If you're joining me on the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to get to 3,000 before May. Until next time, peace.